If there's one thing I like more than eating fried chicken, it's eating waffles. And if there's one thing I like more than eating both of those together, it's giving a concise oral history of them.
Oh, yeah.
Fried chicken, where did it come from?
What came first, the fried chicken or the fried egg?
Did the fried chicken cross the road to, I don't know, get back out of the fryer?
All of this is classic L.A. Meekley fumbling for just a start. You could just start, but we just fumble the ball.
But what you know is that there's something there. Why'd the fried chicken cross the road? To get to the other fry.
Mine was better.
So it started in the Middle Ages with chicken fricassee, which was a fried chicken in a sauce.
My God. I didn't know I was going to be taken this far back.
The only way to go forward is to only go back.
You really love origin stories.
The chicken, would you believe it? It got bit by a fried spider. I couldn't believe it. And then Fryer Man came.
I want to drown and blame it on you so you go to jail for this. I don't want you to get away with doing this.
The courts are on my side.
Do I need to explain why?
So it was this fried chicken that was in a sauce. So once cookbooks started coming around, this became a common recipe. And guess who was doing all the cooking in the kitchens of the southern United States come the 17 and 1800s? African slaves. So they started making versions of chicken fricassee, frying the chicken with the supplies and methods they had. Eventually, they stopped doing the sauce that went on top, and then that was fried chicken like we know it. And then it became popular when the Civil War hit and the frying process allowed the chicken to keep longer. So it became popular food among the Southern soldiers who were decidedly unpopular with the people that were making this food for them. Waffles, on the other hand, also came from the Middle Ages, from bakers experimenting with making new types of communion wafers, but they realized they were too good for church. So they started selling them on the street and they became popular street food. And that became more and more ornate with toppings and stuff like that. You know, put a Darth Vader in it.
I don't know why I assumed it's from Canada, but I think it's because it's covered in
sauce
syrup and it's nice. Yeah.
They were brought to America, these waffles.
Yeah. These waffles!
These waffles, they're coming to my country and taking over my French toast. My American French toast.
Nobody eats pancakes anymore.
They were brought to America by the Pilgrims, and then when Dutch immigrants started coming over, they became popular on the East Coast. The first known instance of chicken and waffles came in the 1600s when the Pennsylvania Dutch started putting boiled pulled chicken on top of their precious waffles and covering it in creamy gravy, which sounds about as gross as everything else I expected that they were eating back then. But the chicken and waffles as we know it came in 1938 at the Wells Supper Club in Harlem. So this place was popular hangout for all the jazz musicians coming out of the clubs late at night. Again, Nat King Cole.
Baby. Pop, 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 pop.
Ooh, heroin. People like Nat King Cole and Sammy Davis Jr. were coming, but they were coming to a weird time. So it was too late for dinner, but too early for breakfast. So they started making something that was right in between. Put a fried chicken on a waffle.
Beautiful.
You got it.
It sounds like it started as a joke and people were like, no, I want it again.
I want this every night.
Every night.
Because that's what we do in this time. We find something we like and we eat it every day. Now they had fried chicken on a waffle. All problem solved for all jazz musicians forever. But that's all the East Coast and the far East Coast, Europe. Who cares, because LA is the place that finally did chicken and waffles right, and by that I mean the same thing but more popular. In 1975, a Harlem native named Herb Hudson left his job. He left his job as a foreman at General Motors in Detroit, and he came to Los Angeles to follow his dream that everybody comes here with, opening up a chicken and waffles place in Hollywood. And he did just that at 1514 North Gower Street.
Was that the first one?
Yeah. So even though this guy's still alive, there's almost nothing out there about him or the early history of the restaurant. We know that the place is named after a guy he came to LA with, whose first name was Roscoe, but I have no idea what the guy's last name is and who he was to Hudson, and everyone claims not to remember, even though this guy has to still be alive also.
Yeah. It's named after the guy that he came with.
Yeah, this guy who was important enough to name a restaurant after, and he can't even remember his first name or his last name. Yeah, I know we already insinuated fat burgers made of people. You might want to...
Can we do like a serial-like show where we like try to solve a mystery
it's gonna be
figure
like,
out who Roscoe is?
Yeah, it's like finding Russell Simmons or whichever one.
It.
Another proud supporter of LA Maple. We also don't know why Hudson apparently had strong connections to a lot of Motown singers, but we do know that he exploited that to drum up publicity for his new restaurant, and it worked perfectly. He got people like Natalie Cole to come eat there. And,
my mom met her.
Really? Why?
She signed her up for something.
For a record contract?
Yeah, record. My mom is a Motown record producer.
Betty Gordy. That's my mom. The other person that they had coming in a lot, Red Fox. He's back.
He's hungry and he doesn't like to cook.
Clearly
doesn't like to cook at home.
Got a lot of money to throw around. So Hudson got celebrities to mention it to the press in interviews, and that got people interested, and that made it a hot spot. And the thing that's significant about Roscoe's is that it was by all means a black business, but it became a destination for everybody. It wasn't Harlem Harlem in the 30s, where probably 99% of the people that came in were African American. This was the center of Hollywood in the 70s.
Yeah.
So Roscoe's became a hit across the board. It was open at a time when there was a revolution for African Americans embracing their African American culture and their food. So it became a special place among the African American community, but the celebrity backing gave it a push that broke it through to the white community as well, which is why they're credited with being the commercial creators of the dish, even though it's kind of offensive to think it's only commercial because white people like it. But like I said, it was and is a meaningful place to the African American community. It's mentioned in the song Going Back to Cali by Notorious B.I.G. It's mentioned in Jackie Brown, made by a white guy. They've given money to local black sports teams and events. They've had breakfast with high school football teams from rival schools that had ties to rival gangs, and they brought them in to come eat there together.
Really?
Yeah. Politicians have paid their respect to Roscoe's either sincerely or just to have a press conference there to try to get the black vote. Nixon and Reagan ate there, but it wasn't until Obama came in 2011 that they renamed the special he got after him.
That's pretty nice.
It's 3 wings and a waffle, potato salad, and fries.
They didn't want to name something after Richard Nixon? That's weird.
Could I get the Nixon? I steal it and then I deny it. That's what I want to eat.
That's what I want to eat.
And then the Reagan one, it's jelly beans, and it's also at a different restaurant.
I offer everyone food in a trickle down sort of thing, and then by the time it gets to you, there's not really a lot. It's mostly for me. It's whatever I don't want, which I want everything, though. I don't get trickle down in economics. Go ahead.
Tear down this waffle? I don't know.
Nailed it. And then that's what he did with digestive system.
So Hudson made chicken and waffles popular to not just one part of a city, but to an entire city. And that's why people come from all over the world to eat there and why they're up there with In-N-Out and Pink's as like a quintessential LA place to eat. Yeah. There have been imposters. In the early 2000s, a place opened up in New York called Roscoe's House of Chicken and Waffles with two S's.
You foolish fool. It's like all the Tommy's ripoffs. Like Tommy's with the IE.
But they had the same logo also. But
foolish.
Hudson didn't care because he wasn't interested in New York.
Clearly.
But then they opened up in Chicago, and that was cutting into Hudson's turf. So he sued them, and they had to change their name to Chicago's House of Chicken and Waffles.
That's fair.
Mr. Chicago's House of
Chicago.
Mr. Roscoe's.
I'm sure it is just as fine.
Mr. Roscoe's dead. Yeah, I'm sure they're fine. The secretive nature of Herb Hudson made it hard to learn much about this place, but it made it easy for him to take part in crooked business practices until 2013 when Roscoe's was sued by an employee for racial discrimination, saying that the Latino managers were favoring the Latino employees and also sexual harassment. And the restaurant had to pay $3.2 million, which drove them into serious financial troubles, which led them to file for bankruptcy in 2016, $7 million in debt. The same year, Hudson was forced out of the company because the judge didn't believe he could run the company in accordance to the law. It turned out they were breaking immigration laws. They also weren't paying taxes. They were missing a lot of accounting records, and Hudson had been transferring Roscoe's money into his other businesses. On the plus side, there's 7 locations you can eat at, and your money won't be going into the mystery bank accounts of a man I don't know anything about.
Not just you, a lot of people don't seem to know a lot about him.